couple of experiences I had when I was a junior faculty member, and I was flipping out about how to, be successful in work and, be a good father and partner. And, I got this call from Dr. Fishman, the former chairman of neurology, his secretary, Dee. And Dee called up, and I was in my office, and she said, "Hey, Dan, Dr. Fishman was wondering whether you'd be willing to join him and a couple other faculty for a dinner for a visiting professor next Wednesday." And as soon as she got that far, I'm saying to myself, "God damn, I don't want to do this. I know I don't want to do this. I don't want to go out." And it's the chairman calling. And she continued. She said, "It's going to be between 7 and 9, and it's going to be delightful at a nice place." And I'm saying to myself, "Nope, this is not going to work because I want to be home, tuck in our children." I think, Stefan had just been born. So it just, there was this conflict. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so finally, she said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "Well, Dee, to tell you the truth, Stefan was, we had our second child just a couple of months ago, and you know what? It's just really important to me. It's just really important to me that I'm home, and to tuck in the kids." And there was this pause. And my image was my MD with wings flying away. And she said, "That is so nice. That is so nice. You know what? I can find somebody else. Don't worry." Click. She never called me again. Yeah, that was it. And the second experience, and again, we have all had this in different ways. You get a call. "Hey, Dan, this is Frances, president of the American Epilepsy Society." She's a friend of mine, so I know that's what. "Hey, listen, the committee for the presidential symposium just met last week, and we put together the program, and we would like for you to be the keynote speaker. There's no question you're the person we would love to have." And I'm thinking to myself, "No, this is not going to work. It's family vacation. I'm not going to do it." So you say, "Thanks so much. I really appreciate it, but we're on vacation that week. I can't do it." And then you hang up, and actually what happens is Frances says, "All right, Dan can't do it. Who's next on the list?" I'm like number 5 on the list. Right? So we're just not as important as people may make us out to be. All right, keep that in mind. All right, near the end here. Be prepared for the inevitable storm. So another picture from Corbeil, the stormy sea. You've experienced far enough life to realize that it's not the fairy tale that we were raised to think it is. I'm touching on a bit of a theme that I talked in the last lecture. For those of you who heard the last lecture, if you haven't, you can see it on YouTube if you want. I talked about the fact that in the health professions, we're given kind of an extraordinary early look at the reality of life, and that is that the world is filled with suffering. That's just the reality. And the fairy tales that we have constructed for us, that we construct for our children, if we have the fortune of being able to deliver fairy tales to our children, are there to try to protect us, I think, from that reality so that we can have some sense of hope as we're growing up. But you have to be blind to not see that the world is filled with suffering. And to take it a step further, I haven't encountered anyone, virtually anyone, who doesn't have a cross to bear in life. So I think that the storms are inevitable. And my suggestion is that you deepen your spiritual anchors. A lot of people have shared with me that they feel as though their sense of spiritual connectedness has been either lost or put on hold, or they're treading water because of the hard work that we do. And I think that that's common. I mean, we just work so darn hard. You get pulled into so much of sort of trying to do what the next step in front of you. I'd be really cautious about staying in that state for too long. In fact, I'd even say if you can believe this this piece of advice, I would take a close look at your spiritual connections and take care of them. This happens to be a book from an author that Milo and I really have been drawn to. Eknath Easwaran is just he died about 10 or 15 years ago. Was really a genius in terms of his ability to understand the messages of all the great world religions and synthesize them in a way that focuses in on aspects of living that I think have a lot of merit. And meditation is one practice that I believe has a tremendous amount of value. Other things like one-pointed attention and training the senses and putting others first and so forth are again themes that come out of all religions. A number of you know that we lost one of our children a couple of years ago in a terrible accident, and I'll speak for myself, but I know I'm speaking for Milo as well. I've placed a lot of attention on my spiritual connectedness. It was never tested more than when we lost our child, and I can tell you that going through that experience, the anchors held strong. They really did, and I'm really thankful for that. I'm thankful for the fact that the other people in my family have also had that connectedness, because you can imagine what it's like if any one member is completely uprooted or cast into the storm, how difficult that can make. So I'm really thankful for that. I think I can sense that you guys see what I'm talking about. It's around us to see every day that we're taking care of patients. It's right there. The only difference between our patients and ourselves is our current good fortune. So, okay. So I think this is the last one. So yeah, this is the 8th one. So feel nervous when you're not leaping from boundaries. Okay, that kind of connects to the creativity thing. The work that we do, the opportunities that we have are actually, it's unbelievable to think about the range of opportunities that we have in the professions that we're pursuing. It's amazing, that we can choose between, in medicine, for example, signing up and being a physician in a really, really good community-based practice where you know that you're going to be able to take care of patients every day, you're going to have a job, and you're going to make a good salary, take care of your family and so forth. Or in the other range, you actually wake up every day and not really know exactly what you're going to do that day, or have decided, created your own day each day, which is, I think, true of a lot of academia. It's amazing to have that. If things are just too comfortable, then you might feel a little bit nervous about it. Okay, I think back to the deal with society and creativity. We're expected to be leaping from boundaries. Enjoy the fall when you do. Okay, if you're dancing along those boundaries, you're going to fall, and that's okay. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with falling. We're all falling in the big picture. It's just what it is. Okay, so just to conclude, those of you who may have figured out all these images have come from Musée d'Orsay in Paris. If you haven't been to that museum, put it on your bucket list. It's an incredible museum. I'm biased, I happen to like what's there. But I just wanted to tell you 2 quick stories that are related to it and maybe tie into all this, and that is the impact that creativity actually has. Sometimes it's hard to see when we're just down in the muck of what we're doing day to day. And this is a picture from Manet called "The Picnic in the Grass." It's one of the first. It's a big picture. It's a big painting. It's one of the first in the chronological set of the Impressionist paintings that are in Musée d'Orsay. It's not my favorite by any stretch of the Impressionists. I happen to like Impressionist art, and by the way, I know virtually nothing about it. It's just I happen to like it. But the reason I highlight this is I didn't realize this until my first visit to the museum, is that Manet is considered to be the, one of the fathers of Impressionism. And this was one of the first paintings that was observed and became notorious because of the content and the technique. And I won't go into the details, but this was, according to the Parisian artists of the time, this was totally outrageous. I mean, you just didn't paint like this. Apparently, you don't put nudes who are known to society. This is one of the, it may have been Manet's or one of these guys' girlfriends or wives or something. You don't put someone just nude in the center of a painting, looking at the observer. You don't have this kind of levitation. You know, this woman is not really in proper perspective. And you don't have what was the beginning of the artist's impression of this picnic in the grass. I mean, before then, realism was meant to capture, like photography, to capture either the real world or capture the imagined world of the heavens. And this was the departure to that. So the claim to fame, of course, for Manet is that this was put in the Exposition Refusée, the refusal exposition, which was placed outside of the what you expected. And this was the beginning of a new era of art. What amazes me about this is the date, 1863. Impressionist art took over by the 1880s. That's just like 20 years. So in 20 years, the world of art, of painted art, went through a revolution. And that just blows me away, because for the more senior people in the room, I won't look at you, Peter, but the three of us, 20 years just doesn't seem like that much anymore, And so it's just really encouraging to me that the world can go through so much change in a period of a couple of decades. And just one more example, this one's so obvious, but I just think it's so amazing, and that is we are living through this awesome revolution. See, someone's looking at her iPhone right now. You're making a point. Thank you. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right, because that's what I want. That's the next part of the image. Honestly, in my whole lifetime, and I was born when the report on DNA came out in Nature. I can't think of anything that I've observed that has been more of a revolution in human behavior than this iPhone. The difference between walking down the street now and before 10 years ago. Actually, when did the iPhone come out? 2000 or what? 2007, 6 or 7, 2007, yes. Yes. Yeah, maybe 2006, but I think it's 2007. 6 years ago. They didn't exist before then.
I still don't have one.
Okay, all right. But to walk down the street and see the way humans are behaving now, connected to this thing, is absolutely extraordinary. So you guys are, you're in the midst of this true revolution, and I think the possibilities for applying creativity and teams of people working together in a whole new way are really extraordinary. And have any of you read this book, The Swerve? I'm going to finish on this. Any of you heard about this book? Okay, highly recommend. You have you? Yeah. Okay, highly recommended. God knows when you'll find time to read, but if you can make some time to read this book, it's definitely one of the best books I've ever read. Greenblatt. It's a book about an Italian papal secretary who was obsessed with trying to find and restore the ancient writings of the Romans and the Greeks. As you may know, books were handwritten, and actually the parchment, the paper that they were written on, was very fragile, and so there were untold numbers of books from, say, Greek times that were lost to fire and floods and mildew, and there were even wealthy wealthy statesmen who would buy up the old, good quality Greek writings and buy them not for the writings but for the parchment. So they would actually have their secretaries essentially white out the writings of the Greek philosophers so that they could write their own stories. True. So anyway, this is about this papal secretary and his discovery of a Greek writing. But the amazing thing about this is to learn about what the world was like before the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg. And I think that the revolution that we're going through right now in this first part of the 21st century is equivalent to what happened in, I think it was in 1520 or so, 1530, when the printing press. I don't think there's been as big a change in terms of the way people communicate in those 500 years. So there you go. Those are the 8 aphorisms and some suggestions about how to find some balance. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, well, write to me if you'd like.